In the matter of the offmost recital of the Bubs and T Bag show, the gentlemen discuss the pressing issues of our day.
The wings were okay. They were all right. You know, I went with a dry rub, in honor of you.
You knew I was a dry man, didn't you?
T Bag offends Bubs, of which Bubs then demands satisfaction.
Are there any tears at any point?
There's a couple moments in that movie that to me are
I'm saying when you walk by a mirror or something.
And Bubs, scarcely aware of T Bag's admiration for a snort of brandy, encourages him to imbibe.
There's nothing for me like a eggnog.
One of your jacked up eggnogs that you've had?
Yeah, those are great.
Oh, yeah. I had a lot of those in a singlet one time.
I remember that night.
Yeah, I don't know.
You made a real spectacle of yourself in my home.
All this and that wonderful world of leisure. Coming up.
Amen. Amen, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Seems like we've restarted this. Technical difficulties.
The music is still great, though. The guy with the burning licks, he never, ever fails.
He's relentless.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
Do you know where he? Where do you learn to play?
Alone.
in a dark room with Guitar World magazine in front of him or something like that.
YouTube.
Whoever that guy is, Ace the Axeman.
Yeah.
What a man. What a man, I got to say.
I tell you what, it's been several days or a week since I've last seen you. Have you taken a lover in that time?
Well, not for lack of trying, but the answer is no. How you been since the last show? You know, anything new in your life? It looks like for me, from what I'm seeing here, not only are you looking svelte, but it looks like you're stepping up your game, so to speak. Earlier, when we met for our pregame sort of meeting of the minds at the highway, I noticed you only went wings today.
I went wings and water.
Yeah,
revolutionary. Well,
I got to say, I'm seeing the results, and I'm impressed,
yeah,
and also jealous, and also I feel kind of like an outsider here drinking an old Milwaukee while you sip on that delicious coffee.
I'm having a coffee. I mean, it is only like 12:30 in the afternoon, so
right.
Yeah.
It is, but it's a show.
It is. And it's showtime. I'll put it on.
Gotcha.
I can strap it on, sober, drunk, five times over. It don't matter.
How were the wings?
The wings were okay. They were all right.
Yeah,
they were okay. I went with a dry rub, in honor of you. But they were okay. They're all right.
Let me ask you this: what's your best wing? Do you remember, like, hey, this is the place where they got the best wings? I've talked to a lot of people, like Baby Girl comes to mind, and a couple other friends of mine who partake in the Anoka kind of scene. There's a place there called Serums. They've got great wings. You ever tried those?
No. Where is Anoka? I don't even know where that is.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
The Halloween capital of the world. But do you have a place where,
growing up,
you got the best wings?
Yeah.
Like Shorty and Wags, or what?
Well, it was the one before that. It was called Art Songs over on 35th and Nicollet. My dad and I would go there on Saturdays.
No kidding.
No.
And then it went to Shorty and Wags?
Yeah, sometime in the 90s, I think.
Sure. Yeah, I remember that place. You
Maybe
could go
2000s.
in there. You could go into Shorty and Wags, and I think you could buy one rib. They also sold riblets. You remember, like, riblets?
Fuck it, just pour it in my hand.
Yeah. No, I'm dead serious. I think you could buy one rib. Remember the Chris Rock gag where he walks in and goes...
No, that was I'm going to get you, sucker, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was Chris Rock that walked in there and said, let me get one rib.
Yeah. Fuck the cup. Just pour it in my hand.
Yeah, just pour the barbecue sauce. Or no, it was Sprite or something like that.
Yeah. Tahitian treat.
That was a good place. There was another good place by there that sold barbecue. I don't know if they did wings, but
Ted Cook's?
Nope.
No, they were
so
Scotch-A-Mamas.
Yes, 50th and Lyndale, I think, right? Or was it 54th?
Nicollet and 54th, Diamond Lake Road.
54th and Diamond Lake.
Yeah.
Scotch-A-Mama. Mm-hmm. I think it's still there.
I just drove by there, but I didn't notice it.
That place was good, man.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day.
Yep, that was a good place.
Very good.
Yep. So, Art Songs, Wings. And then they served them in, you would get them, like we'd get like 2 dozen or 3 dozen of them or some shit. And they were always like in this, like those old donut boxes that had the handles on them that would fold over.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And then you put it in the car, but hey, put that on the floor.
Yeah.
Because it was greasy. Put it on the floor.
Sure. Yeah.
No, they were
it's going to soak through.
Yeah, it's soaking through as you're walking out. But they were, the dry rub that they had was phenomenal. And you go to some places and they got 28 versions of fucking wings with different sauces and shit.
Like Wild Wings and stuff like that.
Yeah, I haven't been in there in fucking 20 years or something.
Yeah. Not interested.
No.
Gotcha.
No. Too loud, too busy.
For me, it's boneless.
Man.
Is that sacrilege?
It's not a fucking wing. It's not a drummy. It's fucking chicken breast.
Are you more?
I like the bone. I don't like the meat. I like the bone. I want to.
Are you drummies or are you flats?
I like it all, man.
Yeah.
I love me some Yardbird.
Yeah.
Especially when it's fried, dyed, and laid to the side. Like a good hairdo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fancy Ray.
I bet he had some art songs.
Oh, dude, for sure.
Chef Cafe down on
I bet he
Franklin.
cut a commercial for him at some point, probably back in the day.
Yeah.
Man, there were a lot of good restaurants in Minneapolis that I forgot about.
There was a
Shorty and Wags is one of them.
Another place that I could get some good wings was 28th and Bloomington Avenue.
Oh, was that
right on the corner?
Was that called like the Cedar something?
No, that was the Cedar one, but this one was on 28th and Bloom.
Which one was that? Which one? Do you remember the name? Who knows? Yeah.
Alex ran it.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah.
And then you could get some good wing in there.
No kidding, huh?
Yeah, very good wing.
And then afterwards, you could walk. Where was it?
28th and Bloomington.
And then you could walk 3 blocks south to the Commander or whatever that bar was, or the
north.
the Commodore.
Where friends meet friends.
Yeah, and get stabbed.
Friends come to meet friends.
And get stabbed.
There was always a ruckus after.
That was 25th and Bloom, right?
Yep.
And then there was a time where, like, at some point, there was a SA, which is now known as Speedway. Mm-hmm. But at the time, it would have been Super America, where it was 6th and then Bloomington.
No, that was 20.
Was that 25th?
24th to 25th.
Yep, you're right. That was 1 block north, so 24th.
Yep. It was right across the kitty corner.
That was a great essay. You could get a great cup of coffee and maybe even tetanus or something like that if you rubbed up against something the wrong way.
Yeah, tuberculosis was common in aisle 3. Yeah, you could get that.
Great restaurants there in South Minneapolis back in the day.
Yeah,
we miss them. We miss them.
It was a good time. There was a good time when we were warrior kings.
Yeah. We're back here for another Bubs and T Bag show episode today. We are now into officially the winter, or December, as they like to call it for you calendar types.
Well, apparently, according to the meteorologists, this is winter. But for me, I live seasonally now, so winter doesn't start until the winter solstice.
When's that?
I don't know.
21st?
21st, 22nd, somewhere there.
Yeah. You're a pagan, huh?
No, I'm just in tune with nature,
with the seasons.
Yeah, I'm seasonal now.
Yeah.
I don't have deadlines. I don't have time.
The sun calendar.
I don't give a fuck about, weeks, days. It's seasonal.
Gotcha.
It's cold out. There's snow on the rock. That means it's cold out.
When I think December, what I always think in this state, for some reason, is the roads are going to be absolutely fucked very, very, very soon.
It's going to be similar to driving around like in Gaza.
Yeah.
Pockmarked.
Destruction.
And ripping the axles off your cars and your wheels breaking.
What's different about the winter driving here versus summer for me is in the summer, it's just a bunch of guys holding like orange signs saying, you got to slow down. You can't drive this way. You got to go this way. And then in the winter, there's no guy holding an orange sign. It's just more like the road's fucked. You're going to have to find another way around because it's full of holes and things like that, and people aren't going to fix them until May.
Yeah, it's funny. As I talked to my youngest kid is now out west in Colorado, and he drove from Seattle to Colorado with a friend, and as soon as it started getting a little dicey up into the mountains with snowpack and ice on the roads, he took over a lot of the driving because for us, it's not panic time.
Yeah.
And it's not a big deal. So he was able to navigate through and knows how to drive. Okay, we'll drop her down to about 40 now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice of them.
Yeah. And so, but then I have another kid, obviously, that's in, people have heard, is in Oklahoma. And he's looking forward to when they get 1/2 inch of snow and
The entire state
shuts down, and he'll be out ripping around.
Goes into World War III or something like that.
Yeah. It's like a dystopian future.
I bet they close every school in the state if there's even 1/2 inch of snow there.
I don't know. It's a western state that's or southwest. I don't know whatever Oklahoma's considered, but I mean they're pretty rugged there.
Yeah,
You know, I think they probably
they'll
do.
adapt.
But those highway systems, you know, and they probably fall apart in Oklahoma City and Tulsa.
I would guarantee probably that
That
they
is
probably just don't have the equipment.
Well, they don't have the equipment, but then they also don't have the skill set. So you take some maybe people that are born and raised in, you know, south of Texas,
Right.
who aren't
Yeah.
familiar with the nuance of snow-packed driving.
Yeah, and how to sort of operate a system of many people trying to move snow from one place to another type
Well,
thing.
There is that.
That's what's
problem.
known as what they would call a complex system.
Yes.
And nowadays,
I,
no, like this is no bullshit. Complex systems in today's day and age are going to fall apart. And what I mean by this is
like idiocracy, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, because you have stupid people managing pieces of complex infrastructure, and it's not going to work.
Or they have to manage the operations of that complex structure,
Sure.
like snow plowing. So I grew up in Minneapolis,
Yeah.
and I grew up on the southwest corner of Minneapolis. Growing up, man, we had years where we had 85 to 100 inches of snow. Them roads were clean.
Yeah.
The alleys were done
Yeah,
on
they
time.
had them done.
And
Yeah.
they had them done, and they took pride in it.
Not now.
Well, yeah. I mean, now it's a joke because even out that part of the city that's paying all the motherfucking taxes, they're some of the last to get done.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And their roads are like, what in the fuck? This used to be curb to motherfucking curb.
Yeah, it was. It used to be.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Nope.
I drove through one of those blocks probably about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, where I can't remember the exact one, but it would have been like 58th and like, Sheridan or Thomas or something like that.
Yeah.
I used to live on 5700 block of Washburn at one point.
In a duplex?
Yep. And,
Rentals.
yeah. I mean, but the guy who lived in the place always owned it, usually, or
Yeah.
something like that, The dude who lived upstairs or downstairs or whatever always, owned it and took somewhat of pride in it. But when I drove by there the last time, it was weird. It was like this weird sort of like herd mentality where you would drive down these blocks and there'd be like one, and every single block would have like one of those rainbow signs in the yard where it was like science matters and in this place love is love, and all this weird shit. And every sign on the block would have one. And then you would go like 2 blocks up and there wouldn't be any. And I was like, I wonder if like on this block, those people must not have been shamed enough into putting the signs up there yet or something like that.
Well, knowing the neighborhood and some of those housing places can be a little transitory now because of the rental.
Sure.
They may just not give a fuck.
Yeah,
or,
who knows?
They may be Hispanic in nature and don't even realize that they're supposed to care.
Sure.
But yeah, it is funny. You drive around, there's pockets where it's Black Lives Matter. All are welcome, I think is a big one. And it's kind of a weird rainbow sign that says all are welcome.
Yep. And then when you look at the person who put that sign there, it's always that one lady with like kind of a bizarre sort of short-haired haircut.
Gray.
Half the hair is pink though.
And gray.
Yep. And the other half is pink. And then, she's just sort of sitting there wondering what the fuck happened, but she can't say it out loud. So she just puts signs in her yard.
I don't know. I think some of those are very true believers.
Maybe.
Yeah, they are. Well, I can tell you that there's one house.
I think they just
There's one
follow,
house
they
on
follow
one
the
block.
herd, man.
There's one house on one block down there that does not.
The one with the flowers painted all over it and that stuff?
Oh, that crazy lady?
Yeah,
I
you
don't
know
even-
that one?
Oh, yeah, I know her.
Is she still there, do you think?
I don't know. I'd have to drive by and look at it. But, yeah, that had the flowers on the roof. And it was on Penn Avenue,
it was right on Penn.
probably 52nd, 53rd.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah.
I wonder if she's still there.
I don't know. She was, she had the ghosts in the door, painted on the door.
I met her in person one time.
Sure. I used to talk to her.
Yeah. And she dressed exactly like you would imagine. That house would probably cost like $900,000 right now or something like that, just for the location, just for the lot.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal location. It's a busy street, but it's a great location.
Right.
You're just a few blocks south of Harriet.
Oh, what happened to that part of town? Who knows?
I go there quite a bit, and I know. I can see what's
That's
happening.
right. Yeah.
I'm there on a weekly basis.
You have an answer, right? I have an answer too.
Well,
we're not going to reveal it yet, maybe today, but
yeah.
very soon. Keep listening to the Bubs and T Bag show.
Well, I think Fry and that fucking, like some local radio guy calls them the clownsel because they're a bunch of fucking clowns.
That guy is not from here.
No.
Yeah, he's what I would like to call as a carpetbagger.
Fry?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a fucking carpetbagger.
He's a carpetbagger from the East Coast.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, he should be run out of town with the same carpet bag. Ideally, while the bag is on fire and he's running for his life. That's just me.
I'm more of a, tar and feather and ride out on a rail.
That would work too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. While he's still holding the bag, though, that he came into
Can you
town
imagine that?
with his
Politics
dumb ideas.
back in the day in the 1800s, they would throw some fucker in tar and feather him and then run him out on a rail.
We might not be far from getting back into that in a 2023 sort of 21st century type deal.
I don't know. It would be digital.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it'll still function, you know?
Well, maybe.
I mean, there are some people, they lose their digital well-being. Their life is gone.
Mm.
Chrissy Teigen comes to mind.
Chrissy Teigen.
Yeah.
Help me out.
She's married to a guy named John Legend.
Oh, yeah. She was on some shows.
Yeah, he's like a singer. Well, okay. Yeah, she's probably been on some shows. Yeah, she was a whore at one point. Yes. Yeah, she was a hooker.
I'm a model.
Yep. And, married a guy who
had a lot of money.
At one point had a lot of money and a lot of talent, too. He's actually a really talented vocalist and piano player.
Yeah. Well, I'm
but
sure
yeah,
he still has the talent.
Yep. He's unfortunately retarded.
Is he?
Yeah, you know what I mean? But
is he the one with blurred lines?
No, that was a guy. That was Alan Thicke's son. His name is Robin Thicke. I think even Robin Thicke is still sort of around somewhere, but he had to make a million mea culpas to.
How much ass is he getting still?
Thicke or Legend?
Thicke.
I bet he's getting a thick amount of ass. Yeah.
Okay.
A guy like that, yeah. That was actually a pretty cool song.
Yeah, it was. It was a better video because they were topless.
No, but Chrissy Teigen, she's sort of, evaporated out of the landscape because she used to be the queen of Twitter and they giveth and they taketh away type thing.
Well, your light burns only so bright for so long if you're talentless.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she probably became rich and whatever, and then now looks down upon every minority and, make sure they clean the windows properly.
She flew way close to the sun, buddy.
Yes.
Another thing that I'm excited for in December, and you'll have a 2 cents on this for sure, is school closings.
Well, because you can't predict those.
Well, right.
They're
you can't.
factored
But,
into the
but nowadays,
school year.
the teachers union, though, is so obsessed with not working.
Well, they may have school closings due to an outbreak of a flu-like symptoms.
Yep.
The kids go, and you might as well just end it right there. And
Here's my bet, by the way. This is my bet.
Okay.
At some point, either this year or maybe next year, we will see a school closing for political reasons. Let me put it this way. If Trump wins in 2024, school will be closed the next day. I guarantee it. They'll send out a message district-wide saying, we understand last night that a lot of things happened to some people that were very traumatic and very injuring, and we're here to protect black and brown bodies. And because of that, we won't be operating Minneapolis public schools for the next 24 to 36 hours.
Well, if Trump gets elected, it's going to be because of those brown and black bodies voting for him.
Yeah, but the white bodies that are the ones that make the rules won't be able to handle that, and they're going to close school.
Oh, well, yeah. I bet some high schools will be closed.
Yeah.
It depends. I don't think Princeton schools are going to be closed.
No. Up here, they might be open for another week after that, partying, all the teachers. Finally excited that they can hit kids with rulers again. I don't know what it is, but
corporal punishment.
Yes, something.
Let the beatings begin.
Let me ask you this though, buddy. Aside from the school closings and the winter bullshit, how's the you've been taking the "we're getting ripped" mantra from our last episode to heart?
Well,
how's the keto?
I mean, like I say, you're the player manager, and you told me to get ripped.
And you're down. You're going down that road.
So, like I said on our Thanksgiving, that my wife had made lasagna.
Yep.
So I ate probably a pound or two of lasagna on Thursday, and then we had a lot left over, and I ate even more on Friday. And then I was gluttonous, and I was a sinner.
Yeah, and you felt shame.
I felt shame, but then I took the power of our words, and I decided, fuck yeah, I'm going to get ripped. And I'm not going to have a fucking New Year's resolution like every sack does. I'm going to
do it now.
No, I'm going to be resolute by New Year's.
Dude.
I'm getting ripped.
I respect you, and I detest me right now when I hear things like that.
Self-loathing.
You're the real deal, Bubs. I got to be honest.
We'll see. We'll see if this bowling ball can get ripped.
For all you listening, Bubs and I did our traditional sort of kind of little come to Jesus at one of our favorite local spots called the Highway Inn.
Good.
We
Good
go
spot.
there. Yeah. Sometimes we powwow and maybe have a drink or something like that. Maybe some wings. Today, Bubs just had wings, whereas I had 3 drinks with the bartender, Amber, who's fantastic. And I felt shame. I felt intense shame because Bubs is moving forward, whereas I'm probably either not moving at all or maybe even moving backwards. Bubs is in keto
right now.
Right this minute.
Ketosis.
He is.
I was.
He's real.
I was sick earlier this week. So I started Saturday of last weekend, and right now, by, 4 or 5 days into it, fucking sick as shit, feel like fuck, and now I'm clear-minded after a week or two, or 9 or 10 days of this, and now I'm bouncing out of it.
Yeah. So. And not only that, I could tell when I saw you. You looked at me like I was less than.
Yeah. I'm bougie.
Yeah.
I'll look down upon you.
You looked at me like, let's get this fucking show done, you piece of shit.
Is this show done yet?
Go have another piece of cake.
Yeah. Have a smoke.
I'm ready to have a steak.
Yeah, that's right. I had one last night.
Good? Yeah.
What venison. Kind? Venison steak.
Strap or what?
It was a chop.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. How'd you cook it?
I take my venison and I sear it on each side, a little salt, pepper, butter, and maybe a little oil or something. And then I throw it in the oven at 405 until it's 133 degrees, and then pull it. It'll go up to about 138, and it's perfection.
Sauce it?
I didn't do it because I'm in keto now, so I didn't make a white wine reduction.
Sure.
So I just poured the grease over it and lapped it up.
And that
like
that was all it took, baby. Huh?
I should have been shirtless. I felt like Biche.
Dude, I sent the Biche a message about our last one. I said,
venison juice running down the corner of my mouth.
Oh, that guy. He's the best. I bet he's out killing something right now.
He already has.
Or he's like milking something.
he's doing something with animals. Whether he's killing them or he's helping breed them.
I remember one time, him and I were at some party one time. It was a party that they had catered some stuff in or something like that. And somebody brought in this big tray of ribs and left them on they had put a board over like a pool table at this bar that they were doing it at to sort of put all the pieces of food out on the pool table. You couldn't play pool, but that was sort of the serving area. There was one with wings and one with ribs and one with probably mozzarella sticks and shit like that. And I went into the ribs line and filled up a plate and Biche he wasn't going through the line. He was just basically parked there and had an empty plate, and he was throwing bones right onto this plate. And I was like, Biche, what are you doing? He goes, none. I'm like, well, what's this plate over here for? I don't, that's for my leavings, is what he said.
His leavings.
His leavings, is what he referred to it as.
His remains.
And there was a plate of bones that was about 6 inches high, and that was for the Biche and his leavings.
It was like a scene from the Holocaust.
Yeah. Oh.
When the Allied troops came in.
Yeah.
Opened up some of the camps.
Discovered the...
it was Biche's place.
Yeah, it was...
Well, he's going...
The leavings.
The leavings. You've seen it in pictures of Rwanda,
Yeah.
1995.
We're going to get that guy up here, and if we do, we're going to have a big plate here of ribs, and there's going to be another plate empty just for the leavings.
So we'll have some speed metal or Man of War going in the background.
Everything. Yeah,
right?
he loves him some Man of War, too.
Oh, yeah.
You ever see those guys? Like,
Not live.
No, I mean like pictures of like their
yeah.
albums.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like a bunch of dudes who are like really ripped.
Well, it's like a Conan, the old
Yeah.
Conan novels.
It's like a bunch of guys from Conan the Barbarian, and
Looks like Boris was the artist.
they made a heavy metal band.
Yeah.
They just lift weights and wear leather.
They never left ninth grade.
Nothing homoerotic about that whatsoever.
What do you mean? Rob Halford's gay?
Was he?
I think he still is.
Yeah.
I'm glad I never went backstage.
Did you ever see Priest?
Twice.
Pretty cool.
86 or 5, and then again in 2017 or 18.
Oh, you saw him like kind of not that long ago?
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
How was the recent one? Was pretty good, huh?
Yeah, it was very good. And everybody at the show, I may have mentioned this in the past, but is the exact same people that were at the Civic Center in 1985.
Really? They were the same guys, huh?
Yeah,
now they're
85,
just in their 50s and stuff
Yep,
like
yep,
that.
Same coats, denim and leather.
There's a guy that plays bingo with me once in a while that you can tell he was probably at all those concerts too, and probably still drives down for every one.
But, you know, so you take Priest, Iron Maiden, take them all out of the picture right now, right? And AC/DC. Who's doing that right now? What 23-year-old guys
like from this generation?
Yeah, are out there rocking and rolling that hard. Like those guys were in their teens and 20s when they started. I mean, Priest was around in the 70s.
I don't know. I mean, Greta Van Fleet, they kind of sound like Led Zeppelin,
Yeah.
you know, a little bit. But that's maybe the only one I could think of, and I'm also not plugged in anymore with music, like modern.
Yeah, I guess I'm not as much anymore. But I'm sure you could go down to the Turf Club or go to some First Avenue or the Palace and catch some good music. But AC/DC in 1985, they were selling out stadiums.
AC/DC in 2025 will sell out stadiums, I bet. Still.
Yeah, but it's all people our age or older.
Yeah, maybe. I saw Motley Crue probably 10 or 12 years ago at the State Fair.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it was one of the Motley Crue is one of these bands where you have no idea what you're going to get live.
Sure.
You know exactly what they sound like by their albums. But because of Vince Neil being
Vince Neil.
Yeah, Vince Neil. You have no idea what you're going to get. He's either going to be not singing, or his voice is going to be fucked, or it's going to be half fucked, and then he'll hold the microphone in the crowd to sort of mimic, like, hey, you guys sing the words I'm supposed to sing, and we'll all have a party. Or maybe it's one of those few times where Vince Neil is on his game, and he sings everything pretty much on note. Those don't happen too often, but at this one, at the State Fair one I was at, he was on point. And that was one of the best concerts I'd seen. And not only that, I remember seeing a lot of like younger kids who were there with their parents, and they were loving every single second of it. So maybe they're still out there, but I'm just not in the game or plugged in to know myself.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I know some young cats that, you know, because I got young kids, or not.
Do
young
they
kids.
do they like Motley Crue? Do they even know who they are?
Yeah, my youngest kid knows all this stuff, and my older kid was a Slayer fan and Black Sabbath fan back when he was in 8th grade. So
Sure.
The middle kid is more country, I guess, which is fine, and he likes rock, but not as much as the other two. But their friends, some of their friends are in bands, you know, so that's still happening. But man, growing up, everywhere you went, you knew so many people in bands. At least I did.
I didn't know a whole lot when I was growing up, but boy, did I love listening to that music and wished I would have been in one.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, look at the shirt I'm wearing right now. There's some neighborhood people from my wife.
The Replacements. Yeah. Minneapolis finest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those guys are still kicking. I mean, they come out once in a while.
Well, yeah, two of them do. The other one of them's dead, and the other guy had a bad stroke, and the drummer doesn't deal with him at all anymore.
Not at all.
Nope.
But Westerberg's still kicking, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much all
Tommy
that matters,
Stinson
right?
Was
he was Guns N' Roses forever, wasn't he?
he was in a bunch of stuff. Yeah, he rose up. But he was like 12 years old when he started. Think about that.
That's
12.
crazy, man. Yeah.
12 playing at 7th Street entrance.
Imagine what your life is like.
Well,
just being in the rock and roll lifestyle since you're 12.
12, yeah. But, it was pretty common for people to have bands when they were 16 or 14 and suck.
Dude, I heard a song when we were eating lunch earlier when you were crushing those wings and I was drinking Rumpelmans with the bartender was Black Flag.
That's right. Black Flag.
Henry Rollins. Remember him?
Yes. Yeah. He's a spoken word guy now, right? An
yeah,
actor.
and he does like TV shit and stuff like that now. He's when I look at him now, he looks like a guy who cashed in.
Well, I guess, right? You reach a point, you can only fight it so long, I guess. But those guys, I think probably 83, 82, a friend of mine that I actually deer hunt with introduced me to Black Flag.
But he wanted to fight the system when he was younger.
Well, doesn't every 20-year-old?
Sure. So did Howard Stern. And now he's having fucking Barbara Streisand on his show.
Babs?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Dolly Parton and shit like that.
Well, he's old now. You get old.
He's earned it, I guess. The problem for me is that a guy like that spent his whole career trying to reel in people like me to believe that he didn't give a fuck and he never will and he's on your side and I'm talking to the working man, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, but you know what? How much of it was a bit?
All of it.
All of it. So he's just doing his thing.
You know what's not a bit?
This show is not a bit.
This is not a fucking bit.
No.
Not even close.
Nope.
No one will ever, first of all, no one will ever give us money, period. But even if they offered, we wouldn't take it.
You know what we are? And I was reflecting on this while I was working out this morning, working towards my ripness.
Punk?
Well, in a way, we're DIY. We do it ourselves. We say what we want, but we're the show. And we're gonna, when we get big, and we'll self-destruct, and it'll be fucking phenomenal.
That's what I want is to get
Yes.
big, and then 4 months later,
just
fuck. What happened to them? What did they do to themselves?
Yeah, just burnt out.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah, but what we are is the show that people don't want to get caught listening to.
Yeah, right,
right, or admit to listening to.
There's got to be some way though where we can get more controversy injected.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess we could, but I think if we
bringing naked chicks on isn't going to do it.
No, but we could just describe the women that are here naked.
Yeah,
yeah.
I have someone in mind for this, actually.
Okay.
I haven't seen her in a little bit, but I do have someone in mind. We have to get a little bit of a bigger following, just a tiny bit, but she'd be on board. She would disrobe for us in this basement, assuming she had a guarantee that she would leave safely.
I will ensure that safety.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. Is that just a cheap parlor trick for a quick kicks? You know what I mean?
I don't know. People like naked girls, so fuck it. Since the beginning of time, as far
apparently
as I
there's
know.
more girls now that like naked girls.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
So I guess we're win-win in two demographics.
Let me ask you this, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Changing a little bit of gears. You finally broke down.
Okay.
You finally broke down and watched Barry Lyndon the other day. And for all those of you listening, this next moment, this next segment or whatever we talk about has not been rehearsed at all. Bubs and I have not had like a sit down and said, what'd you think of the movie? I briefly asked him kind of what he thought. And if he saw it, he told me he did. And that was pretty much it. We are going to talk a little bit about Barry Lyndon because I've been trying to get him to watch it for a while. And he finally did. And it's one of my favorite movies. It's in my top 3. Bubs, give me your sense on this.
Before we start, or I start, why is it in your top 3?
Barry Lyndon's in my top 3 for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's a Kubrick movie, which I'm drawn to. Second of all, the cinematography for me is amazing. There are multiple points in that movie where it looks like you're staring at this oil painting. And it's beautiful. And I don't know, nobody else would make a movie like that nowadays. Third, I like the story. I think it's great. This rags to riches to rags guy who doesn't give a shit. Who kind of, goes all over Ireland lying about himself and telling half-truths and winning and losing and all sorts of things like that. And then fourth, I think the narration in the movie is top notch. Never seen any movie like that before that has a narrator that is so effective. That's me just kind of off the cuff. Now, I haven't heard your opinion on this yet. I'm a little worried that we might not jive on it, but that's also part of the charm of this show. If you feel like you felt in any way about this movie like you felt about MacGruber, no fucking problem, buddy. I want to hear your reasons. Yeah. So, go ahead. It's your time. Put me on blast. What'd you think of Barry Lyndon, Bubs? You finally saw it.
It's a 3-hour movie, maybe a little longer. It has an old school intermission at the halfway point where I could step out and pee and have a smoke break, which I enjoyed. Like you said, so I went into it open mind, no preconceived ideas, except for the fact that everybody I talked to that I know and asked them about the movie Barry Lyndon had never fucking heard of it. People that are older than me, people that are
other
younger,
than me, basically.
It is just you, and that's it. Nobody's heard of it. Nobody's had ever seen it or recollected it in any form or could tell me anything about it.
Okay.
It's won, 4 or 5 Oscars at the time?
Yeah. It was one of his... Kubrick did not win many Oscars.
Not for acting.
I don't even know. Maybe Ryan O'Neal was up for something?
I think everything in there was probably for technical stuff.
You don't think the acting was up to snuff or what?
I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was good.
Sure.
I was struck by this movie and how you talked about like the scenes and how it was filmed with natural light and candlelight, and they even had some scenes out on a balcony or a veranda or something at night, and he was using moonlight, and it was
where
striking.
He walked out to talk to the woman type thing,
and it was striking, and those scenes, and you could see that Kubrick purposely paused and would hold these scenes. And then I would pause it on TV, and then my wife and I would look at it, and it's like, man, this looks exactly like something like one of those Dutch artists would do, or somebody would do. It was phenomenal. I mean, the colors, everything, the costumes, there wasn't a detail left undone. It was cinematically a beautiful movie. It was pleasant to watch.
The war scenes. With the muskets?
Yeah.
I mean, those were guys. That was not CGI.
No, everything was done natural and real, and it's a real movie. And it's, it wasn't epic on scale of like Ben-Hur, but, there were some few battle scenes and some cool stuff and some duels that were neat to see.
The duel stuff I thought was cool.
But here it comes.
Go.
I feel that Ryan O'Neal's character of Barry Redmond or Barry Lyndon he was a scumbag.
Yeah.
I thought he was self-centered, and I think it was a reflection of the aristocracy of the time.
Sure.
But of the high society of the elites, and in this movie you see the high society and the elites, and they're over painted, and their giant hair, and their clothing was over the top, and that's in the middle of the 1700s.
We almost might be there now.
Well, you watch some shows and you watch celebrities, and it's getting there, yeah. But
with the makeup and the bullshit?
Yes,
yeah.
But so I see the parallels there, and I think maybe Stanley was kind of made the story a little dumpy in a way on purpose to expose Ryan O'Neal's character as a scumbag. He's not a hero.
I don't think you're far off, or I don't think you're off.
I never rooted for him. Rooted for him.
I rooted for him a couple times when he was in his younger phase, when Barry was clearly in his 20s and basically saying, there was one scene, and I sent you a meme text about it, I think a night or two ago, where he says, after basically challenging this high-ranking English officer for kind of rights to a woman who's about to marry this English officer, but Barry's in love with her, and he's in his 20s, and it also happens... wouldn't you know, they're Irish and they're committing incest.
Yeah, well, it's how far.
And I'm looking at you here, Bubs. God damn it,
cousin.
Not because I'm accusing you of anything. I'm just saying I know you're part Irish, and they have this. It's a stain, sort of, on their kind of lineage.
Well, I think it's a tightness.
Yeah. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's a tightness, and it's
a close knit. Yeah,
it's about loyalty.
At one point, Barry hooks up with.
I won't even go into the Italians.
Yeah, well, good.
Yeah, danger close, aren't they?
At one point, Barry hooks up with a cousin of his, and she's set to marry an English officer, and he is absolutely heartbroken by it. And that's basically what sets him on his path of sort of, I don't know if it's revenge or just trying to get back or into the circles of high society, but he's kind of obsessed at that point. And I like it because at one point when Barry tells this English officer that, hey, if you don't like what I have to say, I'll meet you anytime, anywhere, and we'll have a duel. Because back then, dueling was a thing.
Well, it was about honor, but honor was also held in a different regard. It wasn't like, honor. It was also machismo. And
yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, you had to be a man. You had to show masculinity. And you had to step up. When you opened your mouth and if you said something, you had to back it up. And nowadays, you don't really have to do that. But Barry opened his mouth when he was in his 20s, and he would back it up. And at one point, he says to this English officer, Captain Quinn, he challenges him to a duel, basically. And when they did that back then, they would say, I demand satisfaction, is how they would do it.
Yeah.
I demand satisfaction, which meant one of us has to either die or be seriously wounded to...
Or the attempts were made, their turns, maybe nobody hit because they are shooting musket and ball.
Yep.
So maybe it didn't work. And you could say, all right, you stood there in the breach and I shot at you.
Yeah, and at least you had the balls to do it type thing.
Yeah.
Barry ends up challenging this captain for rights kind of more or less to a woman.
To Nora. They needed to focus more on Nora. She was ample.
You loved her, didn't you?
Yeah, I wish she was my cousin.
She was a nice looking
Why
woman.
wasn't she my cousin?
I thought the nicest looking woman in the movie was Marissa Berenson.
Yeah, for sure.
She was beautiful. Just to give you a sort of a little bit of a spoiler here was Barry has a duel when he's very young with this Army captain. And the Army captain has someone else fill Barry's firearm with, they call it tow, which is actually probably he stuffed a piece of cotton in there or something instead of the bullet. Because he was chicken shit, and he knew that he wouldn't stand up in a duel to probably anyone, even if the guy was 23 years old.
Well, that was part of the story, but the other story is those brothers to Nora, who were on Captain Quinn's side, set it up so Barry would have to run away. Because
he would have to leave.
So the elites were already scheming behind the back of the common man, which is probably the commentary that he's trying to get across when they reveal that part of the story.
And that happens, still to this day in a lot of ways. They're just not facing off in a duel. But I liked what he said, which was, I'm not sorry, and I'll not apologize. And I'd as soon go to Dublin as to hell.
Yeah, I guess.
To me, that takes a lot of balls, and I like that. I don't know. This movie has a special place in my heart for all the things Bubs just mentioned. There are some faults in it, but it's a beautiful film.
It's shot. I mean, the scenery when they focus,
it's amazing.
And he frames out a castle or a manor or just the landscape and the vistas. It's incredible to watch. I recommend watching the movie.
Yeah,
have a few tokes, have a few drinks. Sit there with the old lady or the old man or whatever, or alone, like T Bag, alone with his hand.
Well, I'm not doing that.
Were you in costume? Were you wearing a tri-point hat and vigorously working your musket?
I just watch it, and then in the background, I'm usually playing Magic: The Gathering.
Are there any tears at any point?
There's a couple moments in that movie that to me are
I'm saying when you walk by a mirror or
something. Many. Yes, many.
Many tears.
I'm glad you watched it, buddy. I really am. Hats off to you for getting through it. For me, it's still my favorite Stanley Kubrick movie, and probably will be for a long time. I can't watch it enough. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
But
I don't get that part of it. I would watch maybe half of it or something again just for the scenes.
Yeah.
There's a scene where he's drunk at the end because his son had died, and it's like he's in like some men's club or whatever, and they're probably playing cards and smoking cigars and drinking, but everybody's just kind of drunk and laying there.
Yeah, just laying around.
And then that scene is framed, and it looks exactly like a painting.
It's an oil painting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
is. And there's several scenes like that where that's more the reason why I want to watch this again and again and again, is to simply look at the movie.
Well, I have it for the next 30 days.
Do you?
Yes.
Well, congratulations.
So maybe I'll
sir.
watch it again.
You're in for a treat.
No, I enjoyed Barry Lyndon. The story was fine. It just wasn't striking with the character development. Whatever. I think it was done on purpose to make him appear to be kind of scummy. You know, in a subtle way. He's all self-centered. I
think Barry Lyndon is one of the most self-righteous people probably. You're not supposed to be necessarily rooting for him.
No.
You know, when he gets shot.
There's nobody there to root for. Even the brat kid.
Yeah, he's terrible too, isn't he?
Well, the other one. And
the one who fell off the horse was...
Fuck him.
Yeah.
He was spoiled.
I mean, he was, yeah, but,
Papa.
You know.
That got annoying. Papa. Papa. Papa.
That's how you are when you're raised super rich, Bubs.
I guess. I wouldn't know. I'm more of a,
either.
I guess, kind of appreciate the Full Metal Jacket movie.
Dude, that was good.
But I'm calling the ball right now.
You want to know something really cool?
I'm making a statement right now. It's not even a request. It's going to be just law for the next year.
Go.
Next year, 2024. No more Stanley movies.
None at all?
None.
Well, we've almost pretty much gone through them all.
None. Not even the moon landing.
What do you want to see next?
I don't know about that, but I mean, we're going to have to...
You're done with Kubrick,
We might have to go to like Capra or something, or go out maybe into the 40s and see what some, DeVille was doing or something.
Yeah.
Let's reach back.
You go ahead and give me a movie, but if it's something that was made on Netflix post 2017, be prepared. I'll watch it, but just be prepared for a smattering.
Well, we talked about Trading Places, which is my family's Christmas
I'd love
movie.
to do that one.
Yeah, I'd watch it.
I'll do that one next.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
I'll definitely do that one.
Yeah, do it. It's a great Christmas movie.
For Barry, though, what did you think of the narrator?
It was fine. It moved the story along, and I think that was needed. But at points, you kind of wish the narrator was talking more.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah, he was fine. What are you playing
now? I found a piece of
AI
that replicates the Barry Lyndon narrator.
Okay.
And I'm going to show it to
you.
I
thought it was Jeremy Irons at first. That's what he sounded
Definitely
like.
Definitely not. No, it was like some old guy.
Yeah.
For Barry, it was the McChicken, the best fast food sandwich. Barry would go so far as to inquire for extra McChicken sauce packets, as the staff was quite friendly and more than willing to oblige. One time, Barry asked for McChicken sauce packets and was given 3. Barry was heard to remark, "Wow, 3 for free." And the friendly McDonald's worker laughed and said, "If it should please you, sir, I'm going to begin calling you 3 for free." The staff thenceforth greeted Barry with, "What ho, it's 3 for free," and always gave him 3 packets. It was such a fun and cool atmosphere at Barry's local McDonald's restaurant. He began the practice of going there at least 3 times a week for lunch, and a large iced coffee with milk instead of cream, 1 to 2 times for breakfast on the weekend, and maybe once for dinner when he was in a rush, but wanted a great meal that was affordable, fast, and could match his daily nutritional needs. Barry even began the practice of dipping his fries in McChicken sauce, finding the notion delicious, all the while thinking greatly of the restaurant.
So basically, when you pull in
that was a computer that did that.
Yeah.
Like, that's not even the same guy. He's been dead for years.
So when you pull into your local McDonald's, you view yourself as Barry, and now you're going.
And I say to myself, for me, it's,
tally ho,
it's the McChicken.
McChicken 3 free, please. 3 free.
3 for free. Yeah. No, that was actually like a.
Did you generate that?
No, I didn't. So that was there was a 4chan meme one time about some guy that wrote down, people were talking about what their favorite sandwich was at fast food joints, and some guy replied with, "For me, it's the McChicken," and then he wrote this kind of like soliloquy sort of thing where it was like, and here's why. I walk in there and they say, "Hey, I asked for extra McChicken packets and they gave me 3 one time," and it was just a wholesome story. I know we've talked about it before. We won't spend a ton of time on it, but glad you watched it. Definitely respect your opinion on it. And it doesn't surprise me when you hear people say that, oh, I've never heard of that movie. You know,
but I do come from a little bit higher, not class, but a higher station because I have taken film classes in college.
Yeah.
So
you'd never that
the mise en scène I am familiar with.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that never came across the radar back then, or what?
No, not one bit.
What did? Like
well, there was
film noir or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, well, it depended. So there was different ways, how the camera is operated to emote emotion, right?
Sure.
And then Hitchcock was, how he used the camera. I want to say there was one with Sutherland, the senior, maybe with Jane Fonda or something. It's like a private eye movie or something.
The Omen.
No.
Wasn't he in that one? Or
yeah,
no?
No, he was in Snatchers.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, the Body Snatchers one. He was in that one.
He also had a great small part in Animal House.
That's right. He was the professor, getting high, walking around just wearing a T-shirt.
Would anyone like to smoke some pot?
yeah.
Then he ended up fucking the
Otter's girlfriend.
Yeah, one of his students. Yeah.
Otter's girlfriend.
Showed his bare ass.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was the 60s.
Yeah. Great movie.
Well, on my fridge is the obit for Fawn Leibowitz.
Yes. Well, bizarre killing accidents.
Yeah.
You never come back from those.
No. But, yeah, so Barry, every time I said, I was a big fan of Monty Python.
Sure.
Still am, So I watched all the episodes over the years and obviously some of the movies and all the movies and John Cleese, Fawlty Towers, all that stuff. So that humor I appreciate. And then watching this and then seeing these guys all dressed up as redcoats and just English snobbery and the aristocrats of Europe.
Bourgeois.
And I always had this Monty Python bit, and I don't even know a bit that I can quote, but it was just, I was always struck.
Yeah.
Just the way they were talking and their mannerisms. That was just Monty Python, Monty Python, Monty Python.
I feel like the movie also, in a way, there was that music in the background too, where it's kind of like this English sort of just like calm bullshit.
Or like a harpsichord
right,
or something.
Where it kind of like set the tone for like, hey, this is what this era is supposed to sound like on film from now on. Like I think he really, without knowing any better, made like a hallmark sort of like, hey, if you're going to make a British or Irish movie that's set in like the Napoleonic era, here's the standard, motherfucker.
Well, this is pre-Napoleonic. So this is
but not by much though, right?
Well, 7-Year War. This is the 1750s.
When was Napoleon? 80s? 1810.
Yeah. Wasn't he around that?
No. I thought Barry Lyndon, was it 1750s?
Yeah, because Barry Lyndon in the movie makes there's a reference to him donating money for the cause to fight the rebels in the United States.
Okay.
Or in America.
Yeah, right. All right, yeah, I might have to go back and...
So it's the 1750s to probably the late 1770s, maybe into the 80s or something, but that's it, yeah.
Well, I agree that, all in all, the movie was extremely influential in a lot of ways, and...
if you like Monty Python, watch it, and then you'll start laughing.
Yeah.
That's probably my problem with the movie.
I'm glad you watched it, buddy, and next one we're going to do is... going to be one of your
Maybe
choice.
We should go see one.
Bubs, I'll tell you what, because you sat down for Barry,
mm-hmm.
I will sit down for almost anything other than...
How about autofocus?
Dude, you seen that? Yeah?
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite movies of all time.
I know it
man.
is. That's why I said it. Let's look at it.
You want to watch that one?
Yeah.
Holy
Not
shit.
together,
I'd love
I
to.
don't want to know
no,
where
I
your
don't.
hand is.
I don't want to watch that with you, buddy.
Nope.
I would love to deconstruct autofocus. That is one of the most underrated movies in the last 20 years that I've ever seen. And me and my brother talk about it weekly.
Okay. I know you were a fan of it. I didn't realize you were that much of a fan of it. But I will watch it. I've watched it maybe 2 or 3 times over the years.
Yeah.
I think when you and I were in the same area working.
That
was probably the last time
we had a
it.
few lines. Yeah. For those of you who are listening to the show right now, Autofocus is a movie that came out in probably 2002. It was a real small movie at the time. And it stars a guy named Greg Kinnear, who at the time, he was like a talk show host or something like that.
Wasn't he on E? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he was talented, and he's a talented actor. He really is. He's great in that role. And then it stars one of my favorites of all time, Willem Dafoe, is in it. He makes every movie better. And there's a couple other people in there. Tom Hanks' wife, Rita Wilson, is in there. But for the most part, the movie is about Bob Crane.
And who was Bob Crane?
Bob Crane was the lead actor in a TV show in the 60s called Hogan's Heroes that took place in basically a German prisoner of war camp where they had Nazis in charge of these military prisoners. And Colonel Hogan was one of them.
And he was a goofball.
Yep.
And he was a womanizer.
Yep.
And they would have plots to get out.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was a comedy.
It was you wouldn't think it, but yes, it was a comedy show set in a German prisoner of war camp.
Only 20 years after the war.
Right. And it just goes to show how, at least back then, people still had some sort of a sense of humor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right now, you can't even have a swastika out.
No.
Or sell memorabilia because now you are a German Nazi.
Right.
And we're not going to go Nazis. No, they're Germans.
Right.
They were Germans.
Yeah.
So German Nazis.
Yes.
Not Illinois Nazis.
No, not those ones. No, I love autofocus. And if that's going to be our next movie, you're in for a treat. Because
well, I recommend some people go out and watch it. Familiar. Yeah. See what Hogan's Heroes was about. I know nothing. Right? Colonel Klink was the goofball commandant of the camp. And Schultz.
The main movie, however, has very, very, very little to do with the TV show Hogan's Heroes and everything to do with the backstory of the real life of Bob Crane and his buddy, who was kind of like a hanger-on in a way, who, helped him set up his car stereo and a few other things in his house and things like that. But he more or less, I think, became obsessed and in love with Bob Crane in a homosexual way. And Bob wasn't into it. And these guys started swinging with each other. They would go around the country and hit all kinds of sex clubs in the 60s and 70s and probably even early 80s. I can't remember if he made it to the 80s or not. But long story short is Bob Crane was beat to death in a hotel room. And no one ever really realized or convicted anyone for the crime. It is extremely likely that his buddy Carpenter, John Carpenter, or as Crane liked to call him, Carpy, did it to him with his own camera tripod, beat him to death one night when he was asleep. But that movie is fantastic, and I can't wait to watch it again.
So there you go. That's what I pick.
Carpy. Yeah, they those guys get real close with each other don't they?
Yeah, well, they're sharing a lot.
They like watching their own films. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. No, it's a sad story. I mean, I grew up watching Hogan's Heroes. I think a lot of people my age or your age probably did.
I remember the reruns on constantly when I was a kid.
Yeah, you were always watching it, and it's it had Dawson.
Richard Dawson. Yeah, he was one of the. That was him when he was before the Family Feud.
Yeah. So he was one of the English POWs.
I will say this: Hogan's Heroes. Autofocus is probably, for me, one of the most underrated movies of the decade, of the 2000s decade. It's well worth it. And good pick on that, Bubs, by the way.
Yep. Got to know your audience.
You do. Yeah, there are some things, that, man, you forget. You don't know what you got until it's gone. And one of those is a movie like Autofocus. I don't think they would make that anymore. Dude, the other day I was driving. You wouldn't believe it, but I ended up seeing a fucking Chevy Citation on the road. Yeah.
What color was it? Shit brown?
No, it was blue. I mean, it looked like somebody had taken care of it.
I thought there was only one color. It was brown.
Was it shit brown?
Shit brown. It was just brown.
Just to save on cost. That was the only paint color No, this one was blue. And I know that they had that color at one point because my dad had one of these fucking pieces of shit back in the day.
My dad had a 75 or a 77 Pinto. That
Really?
He bought. Yeah, can't
Did it
remember.
blow up on you?
Well, it was a stick shift. I remember that, and man, that thing was like a hunter shit green and black, and it was like a little station wagon one.
All those cars, there was a trend in like the early 80s, like all throughout the 80s, where they were just trying to like minimize the size of cars. They really fucked up on design back in that era, in my opinion.
Yeah, Chevettes. That was one.
Same one, yeah. It was basically a Citation.
Yeah.
And now those cars don't exist anymore.
Le Car.
Renault. Le Car.
Le Car. Renault.
Disposable vehicle right there.
I had a buddy that left one on the side of the road. Just walked away. Just left it. Where's your car?
It broke down on him or what?
Just left it. Yep. I got towed, and then he was getting bills from the tow place.
It's at 494 in Lyndale. Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Should we go get it? No. It's done. Yeah.
Le Car is lay over.
Those things were around for a while, too, when I was a kid. I remember seeing them, but you don't see them anymore. And I think a lot of that has to do with a couple of things. First and foremost, the cars themselves were shit. They wouldn't last.
No, but you know what those cars were? Those were cars that a 16-year-old could buy, a 16-year-old could maybe work on or had a friend help him work on it, and keep that thing running for cheap.
So they could fix them themselves.
Yeah, those were cars you could work on.
Oh, well, not anymore. You can't.
No. Well,
you know why?
Because you're a hero.
There was a guy who used to run our country, and I think he still runs it now. His name's Barry O.
That's funny. It's Barry. Right?
Barry O. But anyways, Barry O came up with this thing called Cash for Clunkers, and everybody got into it. Everybody. You know what you got into, guys? Here's what you got into. You didn't sell your car for a good price. Yeah, they gave you a good price for your car. What you did was you sold a piece of machinery that you could fix and that you could operate on gasoline independently. And now those machines no longer exist, and no one has the tooling or the know-how to build them again. So now you have to buy an electric car. Maybe if you buy from Musk, maybe it'll be somewhat reliable.
But in 1986,
you can't buy a car anymore that you can
get a
fix.
79 citation for a college or a high school or college kid.
A couple $100.
Yeah, under $1,000, right? Under $1,000, $500. I mean, that's $500 was. Then you probably whittled it down to $300.
Yeah.
And nowadays, what are you going to go get an electric car for $80,000?
And even if you do,
nobody is. No high school kid is. No college kid is.
But even if you did, there's mechanisms in that machine where somebody could be like, hey, wait a minute. It's too loud outside. It's too cold outside. It's too hot outside. It's too this. It's too that. It's too blah, 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 blah. We're going to turn the car off for the day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that means you're not going here. You're not going there. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, you wake up in the morning and your car's not charged.
Right. That's what that is. That's what Cash for Clunkers was.
But look at Cuba for 60 years. They kept those cars running down there.
I think they still drive cars from the 50s and 60s there.
Well, I would imagine there's probably a little more American influence coming in, or European now.
A little, but I think they still, I think for the most part, there's still a lot of antique automobiles. Yeah, because you could keep them running back then.
You could machine a part for it.
For a guy like Barry O., who is actually the president right now, Joe Biden is not your president. And he took and is willing to take even more means of transportation away from you.
Well, just think, he's supposedly from the greater Chicagoland area, right? That's where he claims, right?
Maybe.
Chicago, right?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. Well, he was born, who knows where, we don't know. And then was raised in the Philippines. So he doesn't have any sense of Americana.
No.
And then
he's not an American.
Harvard educated and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
He is shitty. But all them brothers in Chicago driving those Cutlasses.
They lost them.
And those Bonnies.
They
right?
lost them.
They lost them. They're all gone.
Because of him.
and they sold them off, and they can't get them. You know, I mean, now you see a sweet ass cutlass, you're like, damn, you know, that's nice. I was at that Barrett Jackson out in Arizona for that auction, and holy shit! I mean, there's some nice cutlasses.
Have you
out
been?
there.
Have you been to that?
Yes.
So my brother, you guys should talk. He sets aside like a whole week every year to go to that thing.
Yeah.
That's his favorite thing in the entire world.
Tens of thousands of cars.
I heard
incredible.
I heard if you're into cars, that's the nirvana basically for it.
And I'm not a real car guy, but I enjoy, you know, looking at stuff. What was amazing was Blazers and Broncos, all from the 60s and 70s.
Perfect condition.
Mint.
Wow.
Mint.
Wow.
Everything's there, you know, like Trans Ams, all that shit. Like you know, like they said, Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah.
The wheels spinning and the beavers grinning.
Sally
Another
Sally
good movie,
Field
right?
was hot in
Another
that
good
too,
movie.
man. She
you
really
know,
was.
You know who stole that movie?
Sally Field?
Fuck no.
Who?
Jackie Gleason stole that movie.
Yeah.
As that.
Y'all want to kick ass? You want to be a peacemaker? Yeah.
Give me a Diablo sandwich and a Dr. Pepper. I gotta get that son bitch.
He was good.
He was phenomenal in that movie.
Yeah.
That's a comedian that's underrated.
Yeah.
Unless you grew up watching him on TV. Holy shit, was that guy phenomenal. And he lived a life. He had his own train. Did you know
Really?
that?
No.
So he could go from Florida to New York on his own fucking train.
Really?
Yeah.
He would just like it was on track somewhere, and
Well, it was on the main tracks, but he would get.
but it was his
train.
engine or whatever.
I
and
believe so.
No
And then-
shit.
And then he had the car. You know, of course, he had the bar because he was a smoker and a drinker.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a.
Did he
comedy
not like
giant.
flying or something? Do you know what it was?
I think he probably just wanted to be able to walk around, play some pool, and drink.
Yeah.
So he was a real deal. That guy is a fucking genius.
Man.
And he did a movie where I think he's like a deaf mute or something in Europe. Or it might have been a French movie.
No kidding.
Yeah, where you'll cry if you watch it.
He's a good actor.
Yeah, he was a good actor. He was vulnerable.
No shit.
That's the genius to comedy is vulnerability.
He's a little before my time, but yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
I can't remember the movie, but it's supposedly a tearjerker. Or
Sure.
some shit.
Sure.
Yeah, but he was a clown, so he could play the sad clown or the up clown.
Do you think Cash for Clunkers was realistically a psyop, a conspiracy?
I do. I completely agree that it was a way to get rid of anything independent that would keep you independent.
From Americans.
Removed from the common man a way of independence. And a vehicle is independence. Property ownership is independence and liberty.
Do you think Obama hates white people?
I don't think he hates anything. I don't even think he's not black or white. He's not like that. He is class. It's about class.
Do you think he hates white people?
No. But he recognizes the fact that the white people that lap at his bowl are useful idiots for his cause.
Sure.
So his Marxist views, which he is, and his fake religious beliefs at a extreme, what is it? What are those churches, those black churches where they...
They're non-denominational weird
but
shit.
But it's there's some kind of
go in there and scream.
No, it's not reparations ministry, but it's something like that where it's I can't remember the term for it, but it's whatever. He's a fraud, and he's propped up. And think about it, legitimately, honestly, think about Obama in 2004. They prop his ass up on gives the keynote end speech at the DNC, a guy who got elected to the most corrupt fucking place in the world through Illinois. That
speech will also be one day, like 30 years from now, that'll be like some Hitler thing.
Well, it's iconic, right?
Yeah,
that
but that'll be like a Hitler, like they'll show that in schools.
And there's people I know whose parents were of the baby boomer age just lapped his ass up. Lapped him up.
It was so fucking disgusting. Yeah.
Because hope and change.
Yeah. Oh my God.
He made, unfortunately, these guys get in and then they influence the courts. They influence regulatory agencies where these people do not remove from.
Right.
And so
they just make rules and
his
get paid.
influence started in 2008 and has not yet stopped.
Never. No.
And one stone ended up in that river blocking the flow of water for 4 years. and they got rid of his ass, and now they're trying to crucify him.
Do you think he's in charge of the country right now?
Yeah, he's running the show. What is it, Susan Rice and a couple of those other staffers that he had and cabinet members.
Yeah.
They're the ones calling the shots.
How do we get rid of this guy?
You can't. No, his influence is so great.
The common man is not ready to...
You got to get somebody in there that'll just literally burn the system down to reboot the system.
Yeah.
And get rid of all of this shit.
I'll do it.
Recently, DeSantis and Newsom had a debate last night. We didn't watch it.
Yeah, they did. I was following it on X.
But it doesn't matter because they each make their arguments, and whatever argument that DeSantis is making against Newsom, it doesn't matter because Newsom's base will agree with it. Yes, we are pro-abortion. Yes, we believe in trannies and the shit should be in the school. So what, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to win anybody over. But the sphere of influence of Obama will, in history, when somebody writes a history book 60 years from now about Obama, you will realize how the Leviathan of his power infiltrated everywhere. And it's continuing right now with a propped up fucking figurehead who stands for absolutely nothing. Biden never had a platform. What he represented was the Democratic platform.
That and, saying yes to everything, which is all he's done his entire life.
But he has nothing that he stood up for. He doesn't have anything. He has nothing. He is. Joe Biden is legitimately retarded. You could put...
even if he was at his wits right now, which he's not.
No, he was a moron. He was just
right. But 20
angry.
Years ago, when he would get in front of a microphone, and all he would do was be retarded.
But he never knew where the truth was because he lied so much.
Right.
And
he still does.
And he still does, and they prop him up and they escort him out. But Susan Rice or whoever's the former, I guess you got to look and see who the former people of Obama are in the White House behind the curtain. Yeah. Those are the people running the show. It's not Kamala and her group.
My point is that in 60 years, who knows what the history books are going to totally look like in terms of how they're being written. Well, having said that,
what our comrades will write will be favorable for Father Obama.
It might, unless somebody else decides that they're going to change the way that things are written.
Well, they will. I mean, they already have. They're doing that. They're rewriting history.
You don't think that somebody steps into the fucking breach at this point and says, fuck it? I mean, not today, but maybe like 4 or 5 years from now when things are really, really, really bad.
What does that mean?
Well, revolution doesn't happen until strong men are willing to risk safety and fortune to achieve their goals. You don't think at some point somebody says, fuck this. I'm willing to risk safety and fortune. People are just going to sit down and take the fact that people like Barack Obama are going to make the rules for the rest of more or less their lives.
I think people are distracted by their phones, their TVs, their stupid lives. What are the Vikings and doing?
Yeah, they are,
and they're just idiot masses. And
they're coming around slowly.
Some are, but the reason why the founding fathers had all these checks and balances with voting, with representatives versus senators, they had all that stuff originally. It's changed over the years. It's for a reason because they knew what the masses were. The people that changed our country and became revolutionaries were the elites of this country. And it's odd for elites to kick out other elites to now create a country or a movement. Usually, like the French is the lower people coming up, or the Soviets or the Russians and the Marxists. It's the underlings, it's the peasants who rise up.
Yeah.
In this country, it was the elites who decided, we're fucking you, Britain. We're taking this.
Sure. Over. Those people were all white, though, at the time.
Well, but that's what it was.
Right. But they don't. It's a completely different dynamic now. They have no idea.
Well, what I'm saying is those guys who were invested in farms and plantations and slavery and textile mills and whatever risked it. They did. They decided to risk it. And they were the power brokers that decided to risk it all.
Did those guys risk it now, 5-6 years from now? Or let's say next year when Trump gets cheated, do they risk it, a couple years after that when they realize they're going down the fucking toilet? And when I say...
What, a billionaire is going down the toilet?
I don't mean a billionaire. I'm talking about a guy who's not a billionaire, but you know what? He owns a construction company or he owns 3 or 4 restaurants. and he's been getting squeezed for, the last 20 years by the government and hating it, where he finally goes, you know what? My guys have skills. My guys have equipment.
Yeah.
Anyone want to join us? We don't know if we're going to win, but you know what we're going to do? We're going to go and bulldoze the fucking governor's mansion.
Yeah, the only way that'll happen is if, let's say, law enforcement or military is sympathetic to that.
Sure.
Right? You have to win that over. My point is the citizenry can rise up, okay, the unwashed.
Right.
The
but what happens when a lot of guys like me rise up?
How can you sustain it? That's the key. How do you sustain the movement, right? I mean, our Revolutionary War had ups and downs and dire, and then lucks, weather played a part, and we had some luck with this and that. And
I think the way you sustain it is this, and I'll never forget, my dad told me this one time. He was real wise when he said this. I remember watching the Berlin Wall come down on TV in like 1989. And it didn't register to me what was happening. But I remember my dad looking at this in awe, like a lot of people, adults were. Because this to them was, holy shit, communism is done.
Yep, I was an adult.
Oh boy, was it not done. No. Yeah, it was done it was done at face value there. And then as soon as that wall was done, they went, all right, time to change gears. Here's what we're going to do. We're just going to go in and get their fucking schools. How? We can't. We don't have the people. No, we'll just change the curriculum.
Yeah. Well, they had the people.
And it exceeded.
Yeah, they just...
Or it succeeded. But I remember he told me this. He said what happened is that sometime within the last year, these people, they got a little bit of a taste for freedom or capitalism or something. Whether it was putting McDonald's inside Russia or something like that, or whatever it was.
American Levi jeans.
Right. Something like that. They got a taste for it.
Marlboros.
And they couldn't stop at that point. And once I think conventional Americans get a taste for realizing that they can topple these weak leaders that are quote unquote elected in this state, these women, these transsexuals, these fucking yahoos, I think that at that point is an unquenchable thirst that no one can really, you can't put that fire out at that point. It's like white phosphorus. It has to burn out on its own.
So for people like you and I, yes, that liberty, that freedom we've known. So you take people like that's 8 years old right now.
And they don't know.
And they don't know.
Yeah.
And they grew up in a system. Those people grew up in a Soviet system, whether it was Yugoslavia, Romania, Poland, Lithuania, Russia, right? They all grew up that way. But yet, people naturally gravitate towards freedom, liberty, and capitalism.
Yeah.
And property rights create liberty, right? Liberty creates property. So what they did, and what we're not talking about, and I've mentioned this, is that in the 60s and 70s, they existed in parallel societies. They did not acknowledge the government. Yes, the government ran force. The government is force. They take your resources by force. They force you to do stuff. But these people also existed bartering amongst themselves, writing poetry, writing stories, having plays, making music or whatever below the radar. So they were doing it themselves, like the Bubs and T Bag show.
Sure,
right?
sure.
Right? So we're right here. Maybe we're at the forefront of something.
I think so.
But my point is that was 20 years before that wall came down. And plus you have, influence and modern technology started to influence and infiltrate in TV and radio.
Well, the one thing that we have now that they never had back then and no human has ever had is they've got this smartphone device now.
Yeah, look at China, right? They got to shut that fucking shit down right away.
They'll control it.
Yeah. And they control us. It's
and
sad.
they want to do that to your automobile.
Yeah,
like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, they got rid of that 87 Cutlass.
Hey, we're going to turn this off. Yep. No more of that for you. No, that's enough internet for today.
Yeah.
You've seen enough Twitter.
Yeah.
Which up until 6 months ago or 9 months ago was, hey, wait, you need to see more Twitter. Look at this shit. You kidding me? You see what's on Twitter these days? Look. Well, Elon Musk bought it. Now it's, hey, this is against democracy. Mm. The double standard these days to me is so in your face that I can't even, I can't see anything else anymore.
Well, they're telling you war is peace. It's Orwellian. They're just telling you what
These were the
opposite
same
is.
guys who 20 years ago in fucking Iraq in 2004 were ready to sit down in the middle of the street to avoid going to quote unquote war again.
Mm-hmm.
Those same people now are salivating to go into Israel and Palestine and, turn it into a fucking parking lot.
Sure.
Which, dude, I don't disagree with. I think the whole region should be turned into that.
Glass.
Yeah.
Glass.
And then we take it.
And then
Right.
we pull the oil out.
Right.
Yes. With our cars.
But I'm an extremist. Bubs is more of a realist. So
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I'm a closeted extremist.
the Lord works in mysterious ways, Bubs.
Yes, the Lord does.
All right. So we got in our,
Cash for Clunkers.
yeah, we got our Cash for Clunkers really took a turn for the worse there, buddy.
What happened is that history will show that Cash for Clunkers.
But that's how that started, though.
Well, that's one peg, right? It's one thing that was taken out.
Yeah. Anyways, Cash for Clunkers. That sucked.
Cash for Clunkers. It's where it all started.
Yeah, it sucked.
It sucked.
That's where everything went downhill.
It is. It is. It's one of the things that went downhill. No, I agree.
Let me ask you this, though. Another one that a lot of people have been dying to wonder about. Boneless or bone-in for wings?
Oh, I don't like the meat. I like the bone.
Yeah.
I like to get my jibs on there.
Yeah.
Get some of that gristle.
You work the whole bone over.
Get
The
the gristle.
tendon, the whole thing. That thing's clean
Yeah,
afterwards.
well, it's getting there. Yeah, we talked about this already, didn't we?
Did we already do?
Yeah, because I talked about.
Well, I know you got the wings, but
Yeah, I got the wings. No, I like. I prefer. Like I said, I think earlier today was, hey, you get a boneless chicken wing. It's a piece of fucking breast meat.
it is.
Yeah,
I don't mind it though. I mean, I think that part of the chicken tastes pretty good.
sure. I like Yardbird.
All right, how about this? Winter cocktails. It's now December. You imbibed in eggnog yet or no?
No, not yet. We get eggnog from Hy-Vee. It's got the best eggnog in the world. It's called Erickson's.
Yeah,
It's revolutionary.
I've had that one. You gave it to me.
Yes, isn't that the fucking shit?
It is really good. Yeah.
Okay, what's better? What brand's better?
Well, I mean, up here I can really only get Kemp's.
Kemp.
Yeah, you know
Kemp.
me. Yeah, get some Kemp.
Kemp, no good.
No, I can only get Kemp's, and to me it
Erickson's
tastes
is-
fine.
yeah.
When you load it up with enough Sailor Jerry rum, it tastes amazing.
Even a sailor will taste amazing.
I bet he would in your world,
Yeah,
goddammit.
fuck. Give me enough Sailor Jerry's. Hey, sailor.
That's why you love that scene in Eyes Wide Shut where
What's
Nicole Kidman, had a fantasy where she took a Navy,
Oh,
a
that's
Navy,
right.
a Navy-man
the Navy officer?
into
Naval.
her room.
Into her chamber.
Yeah.
No, I standard. I don't. We used to do Tom and Jerry's years ago.
My folks love those.
Yeah, but they're so. I don't know. I've vomited those before, so it's not that I wouldn't go back. It's just they're doughy.
It's
or
tough.
something.
Yeah.
But I'd have one. I mean, really, I'm kind of whether it's the 4th of July or it's Labor Day or it's
Yeah.
Christmas, it's pretty much just Jim Beam. But I like
It's
Bailey's.
been giving me heartburn lately, man. The
Yeah.
whiskey.
Yeah, you got a lifestyle though, bro. You're not getting sleep. You're working these crazy hours. Your lifestyle's catching up with you.
I like it.
You're getting that 3 for 3, 3 for 3, 3 for 3.
Three for
whatever.
free.
Yeah, that's what you're getting. But no, Bailey's. I'll sip Bailey's all day on a Christmas.
For me,
Or I'll go to midnight mass, semi-tuned up on whiskey and Bailey's.
there's nothing for me like a eggnog.
One of your jacked up eggnogs that you've had.
Yeah, those are great.
Oh yeah, I had a lot of those in a singlet one time.
I remember that night.
Yeah, I don't.
You made a real spectacle of yourself in my home,
Well, gotta,
and I was proud of you.
remember when I parked on your yard
Yeah,
and you had like a
6 feet of grass.
6 feet of grass, and I parked the old Alero.
I remember saying, "Hey, Bubs, maybe you should put it." Well, I'm on your yard. I was like, "I know, but that's not really a yard." Now you could put 20 cars out here.
You could have a concert out
Yeah,
there. Now you wouldn't say anything.
no.
Yeah, there's
Once all the ladies from Edina who have ruined the metro area finally realize, holy shit, Steve, we've got to move.
Todd. It's
Yeah,
Todd.
Todd. Is it Todd?
Todd and
Todd,
Stacy.
we've got to move. Where are we moving to, honey? I'll do whatever you say. You know that. Well, I'm not sure exactly, but Princeton looks like they have some nice property.
Well, they got a Target up there.
Yeah.
Well, I did. Whoa! What do you got there? What do we hitting? What is that?
That's a Bud Light. What are you talking about?
It is, isn't it?
It's a Bud Select. This is actually one of my buddy's favorite beers. We call these crushers. These were at one point before Budweiser became poison. This was like the best beer to have on a boat.
Did I notice that you went back to like some prepper area and then pulled that out? Is that ones you're going to keep in storage?
Yeah, I got stuff hidden all over the place, just like an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to hide it from anybody.
No, I don't. I mean, I actually didn't pull this from back there.
Oh.
I was back there, but it looked like I might have taken a beer from it. But no, I grabbed it from my fridge.
Oh, okay. This is my freeze-dried beer.
Prepper, yeah.
Freeze-dried
No,
beer.
I love me some prepping, but this one here is just a Bud Select, and it's my last one in the fridge too. So I'm gonna have to go and get some more one of these days.
Really?
Yeah.
Anheuser-Busch, huh?
Well, like I said, I've got a friend. He's from the cities, so he doesn't know any better yet. But
Okay, yes.
he's still drinking Bud Select.
His eyes are wide shut.
He hasn't gone to Old Milwaukee yet. What I've noticed you, unfortunately, like you love to do.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You brought a new piece of
Toilet paper?
readable toilet paper for me, which is the Star Shitbune. What do we have today? Anything? We're in December now. The holidays, which I'm guessing they don't mention Christmas. There might be a Kwanzaa piece there, but what's in the news?
Well, Ambassador Okasanawa Makarova spoke Thursday with Ukrainian veteran Ole Burulov, and Ukraine ambassador calls on Minnesotans to stand fast with her in battled homeland against Russian invasion.
Oh, that looks like a real important news story for Minnesotans right there. Let me tell you.
And then,
That's asswipe.
state is hotspot in salmonella outbreak.
Oh dear.
2 Minnesotans have died. Cantaloupe to blame.
Oh shit.
Yep.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Is that what the headline is?
Yeah,
2 Minnesotans die, cantaloupe to blame?
cantaloupe. How do you get? Well,
Is that above the fold?
That is above the fold, front page. Not it's not the main story because the main story is about Israel and other shit there.
I'm surprised.
A nationwide foodborne salmonella outbreak that has killed 2 people in Minnesota has not faded away as hoped, with 2 additional infections linked to tainted fruit. It's all in the writing.
Yeah,
It is the words.
You never want taint.
Tainted-
You never want taint on
and
your fruit.
You don't
Yeah.
want taint and fruit together.
Never.
No. Reported this week. Now totaling 15 infections in Minnesota. That doesn't seem bad.
You know what's interesting, though, to me, Bubs, is this is a classic example of why people can no longer sustain and manage complex systems. You know what I mean? The highway system, the air traffic control system, things like that. They can't manage whether or not people are getting sick from food.
I don't know. It's a whole fucking stupid story about, I'm sure there's some fucking cantaloupe farm next to a
How far do you have to go in that newspaper right now to turn a page to find something about race?
race?
Yep.
Ooh.
You're on page 1 right now,
Yeah.
and I'll keep going. You can go ahead and look. But for those of you listening, Bubs has a current edition, print edition of the Star Tribune, and he's perusing it.
Well, I guess there was the very front page, some guy, Senator Latz, rebuked by fellow DFLers for dehumanizing Palestinians.
Okay, so
that's
right there, yeah,
above the fold, first
right
story.
there, right there.
Yeah. And then I don't know how much of a fan you were, but I always liked
What's weird is the Star Tribune is against Israel, kind of.
the Pogues. You ever heard of the Pogues?
The band?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The singer died yesterday.
Did he really?
Yeah.
He
lived a full
Yeah, he
Irish
did.
life.
He had some good lyrics too, man.
Yeah.
That guy, how old was he?
65. So he's older than you think.
I'll bet that guy lived.
Dirty old
boy,
town,
did
right?
he
Wasn't he
drink?
dirty
Yeah.
old town?
I mean, that guy drank until he was 64 days and 300 and some
Apparently,
days
he was in the
in.
hospital for like 2 months due to brain swelling.
You know who else kind of died like that? Is Lemmy from Motorhead.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well, he lived a hard life.
he did.
Jack
But I
Daniels
mean,
and
one
Coke,
day,
right?
yeah, but one day it was just like, okay, I can't really breathe and walk anymore. And then like a month later, I'm history.
Well, I would imagine that.
That's that's how I want to go.
He probably had some issues, and he just said, "I don't give a fuck."
Yeah,
Fuck it.
I know.
No regrets.
That's what I'm doing.
No regrets.
Fuck that. If you think I'm going into a nursing home, oh my God. And if you think that I'm going to let some Yahoo take care of me who's never, seen me before, somebody who went to a 3-week school for how to wipe an ass or something like that, no way.
In the opinion page, it says under criminal justice, Chauvin's stabbing is another shameful failure of the justice system. And then it says, this shouldn't be possible in a civilized society.
Who wrote it? What's the
Los
first
Angeles Times editorial board.
What's the name? Okay, not a writer. It's just
their board.
That's what the paper believes.
Yeah. And I just saw a name. I haven't read this article. I just saw a name.
Yep.
Can you guess the name?
No.
Ted Kaczynski.
Really?
Yeah. So
he's
now I got
the same article.
Yeah.
Huh?
So now I got to see this. So I don't know, but our failure is profound. The attack on Chauvin is hardly rare. U.S. prisons and jails have appalling records of violence and abuse. USA Gymnastics Dr. Larry Nasser, in prison for sexually assaulting hundreds of patients, was stabbed multiple times. Who cares?
Right.
Unabomber Ted Kaczynski died in an apparent suicide at a federal medical prison in North Carolina. I didn't realize that. I thought he just died.
Well, he did, but I mean, I think he didn't die from injuries, though, right?
Well, it says an apparent suicide.
Oh, Ted?
Ted did.
Man,
I didn't know that.
I don't know if I believe that.
No. Maybe.
I do know this.
Similar to another guy, right? Epstein.
Yeah, Epstein was he was murdered. And I think the last probably 4 or 5 years since then has been nothing but a sort of tidal wave and kind of rebound of that. Like, we're not going to know exactly what happened there for many, many years, and we're still feeling the effects of it now, and we will be for quite some time. But as far as Derek being stabbed, yeah, that shouldn't have happened.
No, not that high.
Not even close.
No.
That's why he went to a prison like that.
Well, isn't that there was a documentary released probably within 5 days of him being stabbed?
Yeah, the fall of Minneapolis or whatever.
And then
right.
Now he's stabbed.
Here's
Here's a glimmer of hope in the paper.
Yeah.
Are you ready? Oklahoma. It's one of these short little articles.
Yeah.
Man who killed 2 people is executed.
Okay.
Oklahoma executed a man Thursday who claimed he acted in self-defense when he shot and killed 2 men in Oklahoma City in 2001. So he'd been on death row for a while.
What's the name of the guy who was executed, and what are the people's names that he shot in self-defense?
Philip Dean Hancock, 59, received a 3-drug lethal injection at the Oklahoma State Penitentiary. Republican Governor Kevin Stitt, boy, that's a fucked up name, had declined to commute Hancock's sentence, despite a clemency recommendation, blah, blah, pardon board. Hancock had long claimed he shot and killed Robert Jett Jr., 37, and James Lynch, 58, in self-defense after they attacked him inside Jett's home in South Oklahoma City.
Okay. Hard to say there. I mean, that's a Star Tribune article about an execution in Oklahoma. I can't really weigh in on that.
But
I still will wipe my ass with the paper, though.
Sure. But, that's
a fucking
that's a
rag.
win.
That's a rag.
Took 20 plus years for the guy to get executed. That's a loss.
So I'm surprised it took him, 2 weeks to write a paper about Chauvin being stabbed?
Well,
interesting.
This is that opinion piece is from the Los Angeles Times.
Yeah.
And it's a reflection of society and
violence.
violence.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I'm glad they told me what I should believe. And I've got my dose of indoctrination for today. That's good. From here on out, I'm...
Well, watch out for the cantaloupes.
Yes. They'll poison me, according to the paper, right?
And then there's a chart in the back that shows Minnesota is the hotspot of the cantaloupe salmonella. So there's a lot of shit smeared.
There is some hard-hitting news going on these days, isn't there?
Well, there always is.
Yeah. Anything in like the variety section or anything like that?
Well, here's the Minnesota section. New MFT resolution aims for unity. Not sure what MFT is. After a divisive statement on Israel-Hamas coalition says it's focusing on inclusiveness, a coalition of Jewish and non-Jewish teachers. Oh, Minneapolis School. Federation of Teachers, Minneapolis Federation of Teachers.
Oh, could you imagine being a part of that organization? So they probably collect, like, let's say you're a teacher in Minneapolis. What do you think they take out of your fucking check every year?
A lot.
$800, maybe even more than 1,000.
I bet by now it's 1,200.
Yeah, a year.
Yeah.
Do you know where that money goes? I guarantee
everywhere.
It's like, hey, here's a good way to tuck your dick in between your legs. Here's a good way to maybe cut your dick off.
Is this in Fayed?
I love when you bring the newspaper in once in a while, buddy. It really gets my blood pressure up.
Well, here's there's an actual news story.
No, there isn't.
Yes.
Bullshit.
Body,
What is it?
Body found after house explodes. 77-year-old woman and her adult son lived in the South St. Paul home.
That actually is a news story.
Yeah.
Did they find a way to somehow pollute it with like racial bullshit or anything, or is it news?
That's news.
I mean, I'll give you a minute to skim it while I keep talking, but the Star Tribune normally has a habit of...
Well, they're either going to do race or climate.
Right. They'll take a news story that would have been normal. Like in this case, like, hey, man's water heater blows up or whatever and you know, kills him in his home. It's unfortunate. It's an accident. But
well, it says
turns out he hadn't employed anyone, you know, within the
a next door
DEI.
neighbor says it was a really big bang. It shook our house up. We heard a second and third explosion.
Really?
So I don't know. They must have had some gas pockets going or something. Jesus.
That
or he was a disciple, maybe a mathematician. We all.
Yeah. Oof.
Oofda. Yeah.
You hear about that guy from Argentina who's the president now?
Yeah.
You seen that dude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's supposedly an anarcho-capitalist.
Yeah. You've seen his hair?
That's great hair.
Looks like he's from like 1971. You know?
Yeah, he looks crazy.
That guy is good.
Who's the guy?
Mealy or something?
Yeah, the governor of Illinois that had good
Pritzker?
No, Blagojevich.
Rod Blagojevich.
Yeah, he had good hair.
Yeah, he did.
He had thick hair. He had good thick hair.
He might still even be in prison. Maybe he's out now. But yeah, Blagojevich.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, talk about people that was right after Obama.
I'd
take a guy like Blagojevich and put him on the cabinet he
knows how it works.
Yeah,
he knows
right.
He can work a system. He just got caught.
He'll have a very, very, very strict ceiling though. He'll never rise above this, but he can do this, and this.
You just stay here at this level.
Right. You'll never get above this.
Yeah.
Right.
Just know that.
Right. And if you decide to quit, that's fine. Here's the wood chipper.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Enjoy your long swim in Lake Michigan.
Right.
Make it to shore.
Here's the cinder block, and here's the
hold your breath
10-foot anchor rope, and here we go.
Goodbye. Blah, 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 blah. All right.
Great show today, Bubs.
Well, we've covered some gamuts today.
Yeah, solved a lot of problems.
We went from Cash For Clunkers in one sentence to the domination of the Soviet Union.
Yeah. We sort of wore our opinions on our sleeve today a little bit. And I'm proud of that. We did talk about Barry Lyndon, which is still and will be for quite some time one of my favorite films of all time. I will say this. Bubs...
My head is shaking back and forth.
Bubs, he is. He did not care for the film, so to speak, on paper, in terms of acting and stuff like that. But I will say this. He did say that photographically and, cinematography wise, it is a piece of work.
It's a piece of art.
Take a look at it.
Yeah. It's good. It's good to watch. It's just, it's a story.
I liked it.
If you like rags to riches to rags, watch The Jerk.
Yeah, a little bit. But boy, man, those duel scenes in Barry Lyndon are great.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's fun.
The professor, who's a big, big, big proponent of dueling.
Yes, he's Cassius Clay of the 1800s.
I bet he would love that movie in certain parts.
Yeah, I actually...
and I know he's going to be listening to this at some point.
I talked to him last night, and I said, hey, have you ever heard of the movie Barry Lyndon? And he's like everybody I asked, no. I'm like, all right, well, watch it. It's set in the mid-1700s in Europe. You'll love it. And I said there's duels in it.
For Barry, it was dueling. We're going to try and... put a few more episodes out here in December. We are doing some personal time and things like that, but stick with us. Stay tuned. Hope you had a great time today. We certainly did. Thanks again, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Bubs is out.